Hello! In this video I'm going to review the PreSonus Revelator USB microphone. Does the world need another USB mic? This is what I asked myself when PreSonus contacted me to review the new Revelator. Now it's clear that the product development team at PreSonus put a lot of thought into that question, and there is no doubt about it, the Revelator isn't just another USB mic, it has some superpowers of its own that mean you really need to have a closer look at it to decide for yourself. Before I proceed, a quick disclaimer that PreSonus sent me this mic for free to make this review, but I'm going to tell it like it is, as I always do. As usual, when I get a thing to review, I like to absolutely take it apart and see what it's made of. So this video review is in 3 sections. We're going to look at the physical appearance of the mic, what it looks like, the connections, knobs and buttons. Then we'll have a look at the built-in DSP. Yes, this microphone has built-in effects and processing. And finally, what I think is the absolute killer feature, the loopback routing and mixing possibilities. Wait until you see how this works. It's pretty awesome. There's lots to talk about, so let's go. Now, first impressions, it's a nice looking mic. It feels pretty sturdy. Out of the box, it's fixed to a weighty desktop stand. Joy of joys, it has a USB-C connection. Nice one, PreSonus. There's also a headphone port on the base because this is an input and output device. I expect most people will use the mic as it is on the desktop stand, but you can detach it and use the adapter that it comes with to attach it to any mic stand, for example this studio arm. If you do that, and on the base is a little plug that you can pull out and use to tidy up the side. On the front you have 2 buttons and a knob. The preset button lets you cycle through 4 presets. The factory defaults are as follows. So this is broadcast male, this is broadcast female, this is the screamer, and then this is the slap echo. Now you're not stuck with these, they are very customizable and I'll come back to that in a bit. If you hold the preset button in for a few seconds, then what you're hearing is the pure, unadulterated mic signal. So that's like this. It's got no effects on it. It's clean, clear, there's no audible hiss or background noise. Because in this state there's no DSP applied, it's good for making clean recordings if you want to do further processing in your DAW. But you can equally record or stream with the effects applied if that's how you want to do it. For most of this video now, I'm going to use the broadcast female preset. If you want to hear more of the mic itself, then in my description below, there is a link to my SoundCloud page where I've uploaded some high-res recordings with the different presets. The monitor button in its unlit state controls the volume you hear in your headphones. If you press and hold so the light and monitor button are green, then you can adjust the gain of the microphone. If you tap the monitor button, it turns blue, and then you can adjust the blend that you hear in your headphones between the microphone and the computer playback. Finally, if you push in the knob at the bottom, it mutes the mic. Press it again to unmute. Now that can be a really handy feature, especially in interviews and Skype meetings. So without doing anything, you can use this mic as it is out of the box. However, that would be missing the point of all that it has to offer. You're definitely going to want to install the universal control utility because this will let you fine-tune your sound and give you access to all the advanced routing. But there's more. The mic itself in the UK is currently retailing for around £138, but it actually comes with Studio One Artist software, which by itself costs £85, and it comes with the Studio Magic bundle, which is about $1,000 worth of plugins and sounds. Apologies for mixing currencies there, but you get the idea. With the combination of the mic and the software, this is incredibly good value. It's like a complete mini recording studio. So now you've heard how the mic sounds out of the box, let's go and have a look what you can do when you open up the universal control software. When you open up, you can choose sampling rates between 44.1 and 96 kilohertz. It's a 24-bit device. The block size is a Windows thing that allows you to adjust the buffer size. You won't see that on the Mac, but what you will see is device mode. You need to select multi-mode on the Mac if you want to see the Revelator show up as 3 different devices, and you will want to do this for the advanced routing. However, if you do operate in multi-mode on Mac, then the maximum sampling rate is 48 kilohertz. Do not worry about this. You will want multi-mode for streaming, and 48 kilohertz is ample. If you really want to record on Mac at the highest resolution, you can just flip it back. I'm demonstrating this on my Windows PC mainly because every other demo and review I've seen has been done on a Mac, so I thought I'd even things up a bit. But apart from those little differences, universal control works identically on both platforms. So if you are a Mac person, stick around, it's mostly going to look the same. When you open up the Revelator app, it looks like this. Starting with the settings, there is a reset all button, which is quite handy if you want to get the mic back to where it started after fiddling with all the settings. But here is superpower number 1. You can switch the polar pattern of the mic. The default is a cardioid pattern where the sound is being picked up by the front of the mic, which is great for voiceovers. However, you can also have a figure 8 pattern. Then the mic will pick up sounds from both the front and the back, which is brilliant for a two-way interview. Or you can switch to Omni if there are 3 or 4 of you sat around the mic and you want to pick up all the voices. You can toggle the fat channel on USB stream outputs on and off here, change the behavior of the preset button so it can cycle through 4 or 2 presets or just 1 if that's what you want, and you can choose whether the mute option mutes the mic or the headphones. The default is the mic, and it's the more likely scenario. The top half of this app gives you control over the DSP that is built into the mic itself, and this is superpower number 2. You'll see on the box, this microphone has Studio Live voice processing inside. This is the same sonic enhancement that's built into Studio Live digital mixers, and you will also be familiar with it if you use Studio One software. And you can keep this really simple by selecting presets, or you can deep dive into the settings to really tweak them. Here you have the 4 presets. These are the factory settings, and you also have a hotkey. This is a setting you can use on the fly. You just toggle it on and off if you want a quick effect override. Now, I'm not going to spend a long time showing you this in detail, but basically you can change the presets, and these are stored on the mic itself. So I have created a couple of my own presets. J delay is pretty much the same as the broadcast female with a bit of added delay. J-Lo detunes my voice by a few tones, and I've kept the slap echo the same. It's pretty easy to create a new preset and save it in an empty slot. The fat channel is where you can adjust all the DSP. You've got a high pass filter, a gate, compressors, a choice of EQs, a limiter and voice effects. It has easy presets you can select for each one, or you can press the button to deep dive into the settings if you want. So you have loads of control if you want it, or it's easy to set and forget if you just want to keep it really simple. Then you have a nice reverb which you adjust here and apply using the slider here. You can also mute and unmute reverb as required. Down in the bottom left you can adjust the mic gain, the panning, so whether the mic is pan center or more to the left or right, and finally you can adjust the level of the mic in the mix. Before I get into the routing and mixing section here, I'm just going to quickly demonstrate superpower number 3. I've switched to filming this on my phone using the Revelator mic as my external mic. You can connect this microphone directly up to your Android phone, your iPhone or your iPad and use it plug and play as a standalone mic. And you saw how I changed the presets on the microphone from the factory settings on my computer. These are now stored on the mic so that I can access them from the buttons on the mic. And so if I want to record on my phone or stream from it or make a video, then the audio is going to be high quality and I have a choice of how it sounds too. As an example, this is still the broadcast female preset, but if I press the button, I'm now using that J delay preset that I set up, so my voice with a bit of delay on it. If I press it again, what I've got now is that detuned voice. And now I've got voice with all echo on it. I'll just switch back to where I was at the beginning. You can't change these presets on your phone, but you can set them all up in advance and then access them from the mic itself while connected to your mobile device. If your phone or iPad has USB-C connection, then you can connect it directly with a USB-C lead. If you have a Lightning port, you'll need one of those adapters, or if you have an Android phone with the older micro port, then you can use an OTG adapter and use the microphone. So I've switched back to my main camera now. While I'm on the subject of mobile devices, you can install the UC Surface app on either iOS or Android and then use your mobile device as a remote control. Now it's important to understand that in this scenario, the microphone is connected to your laptop or computer, but what you're able to do is remote control it from your iPad, for example. The universal control app is mirrored. This might make it easier to hide the behind the scenes stuff and also avoid that issue of picking up the sound of your mouse and keyboard while you're recording or streaming. Back to the computer for superpower number 4. And that is this mixer section here. Now this is where things get really interesting because you can blend the signal from your microphone with up to 3 stereo audio streams. These could include playback from your recording software, sounds from something like a video game or a YouTube backing track, and maybe audio from a Skype call too. This mic has not 1 but 2 loopback channels. If you haven't heard of loopback, this is the industry term for routing audio from one application to another, and I'm going to demonstrate it here with a couple of examples so you get the idea. I'm only going to scratch the surface here, but it is really powerful. If we look in the Windows control panel, and you'll see a similar thing on a Mac if you have the multi-mode on and go to the sound settings, then you can see the Revelator appears as 3 separate audio input devices and output devices. By routing different software to the different Revelator devices, you can mix the audio from that software in so many different ways. Note that I've set loopback output 1 as the default playback device, and for recording I've selected the microphone as the default recording device. So for my first example, maybe I'd like to record myself over a YouTube backing track. I'm going to use Studio One for this because that is the software that comes with the Revelator and it works very well with it. You could use any DAW of your choice. In Studio One, I have an empty song ready to record. If I go to Song Setup, you can see how I've set up the Revelator device. On the Inputs tab, my main input will be the microphone, which is mono. Then I have my 2 stereo loopback streams. On the Output tab, I've selected Revelator Main Output. Now back in the Revelator app, these are my separate output channels. You have the main playback channel, which is going to be my DAW playback here, then loopback 1 and loopback 2, plus the reverb channel we talked about earlier. On each channel, you can adjust the level, you can mute and you can rename them. I've named the first 2 channels DAW and YouTube. You can name them what you like. If I load a song in Studio One and start playing, you'll see the playback from the DAW here on the main playback. If I start playing a backing track on YouTube, because I set that as the default playback device in Windows, you'll see the playback on loopback 1. Now that I have those different audio streams, I can create separate mixes for different destinations. And this is where I switch between the mixes. So if we start with phones, the phones mix is my dedicated mix for the headphones output on the mic itself. This can allow me to get 0 latency monitoring with the mic and generally hear what I need to hear to perform. In my phones mix, I obviously want to hear the mic. I'd like to put some reverb on it. I'm not going to record with reverb. I'd just like to hear it while I sing. So I'll turn that up. And I'd like to hear the backing track, but not too loud. So that's what I will hear in my headphones. Now below the phones mix, I have the main mix and the 2 loopback mixes. I can choose to listen to any of these by simply pressing the headphones icon so I can easily hear what's going on in each mix. Do you see how when I click on each, the faders are moving because each mix is different? So to record myself on the YouTube backing track, I go to Studio One and create 2 separate tracks. The first is going to be my vocal track. So I'm recording from the mic. So I choose the main input, which is the mic. The second is going to be my backing track. So I choose loopback 1 as the input, and that will capture the YouTube playback. I arm both the tracks for recording, and I also mute both tracks. I'm going to monitor in my headphones, not through the software, and I don't want any feedback loops, which is something that can happen with loopback. In the Revelator app, for my main mix, remember this is my vocal track. The only thing I want to record is the microphone. Everything else is turned down, including the reverb. For the loopback 1 mix, the only thing that I want to record is the YouTube track. So I've turned down the mic and all the channels apart from loopback 1. I'm going to record that backing track at a good strong level so it's set to a higher volume than in my headphones mix. I'm ready to record, so I just go to Studio One and press the record button, then go to YouTube and start playing the track. You can see that it's recording, and as I sing into the microphone, I'm recording my vocals. back in the Revelator app, you can see the levels on the mic and on loopback 1. Now if I stop the YouTube track and stop recording, I can now listen to what I've recorded, and the audio will come from Studio One through the main playback. Now let's look at a different example, a live stream example, and you'll get an idea now why I think this is such an incredible device for live streaming. Maybe I'd like to create a live show where I want to combine my voice through the microphone with playback from my recording software, a soft bed of music from Spotify maybe, and a Skype conversation. In this case, the main playback is the same. The default playback device is still loopback 1, so any computer playback will come through this channel as before, but I'll rename it to Spotify because that's going to be the main thing I'm going to be playing. I'd also like to incorporate a conversation with someone using Skype. So if we have a very quick look at the Skype settings, I've set the microphone to loopback 2 and I've set the speakers to loopback 2 as well, just so we can see what's going on. I'll start the test sound in Skype as if someone's continually talking. Back to the Revelator app, here is my main mix. I can adjust the levels of my mic, the DAW playback, the software playback, the Spotify playback, and the incoming Skype audio. I can keep adjusting the levels however I like throughout my show, either here or using my iPad as remote control. Now let's have a look at OBS setup. I have a scene setup here where I've selected my webcam as my video. I then add an audio input capture device and select the main Revelator output. And if I now place the Revelator app next to OBS, you can see that as I bring the faders up and down, I can stream the different channels from the mixer or a blend of all of them. That is the audio I will be streaming out. Equally, I could use the loopback 1 as my audio capture device in OBS and have a special mix for live streaming that was different to my recording setup. Loopback 2 is the channel I'm using for my Skype conversation, so I could turn everything down apart from my mic while I'm chatting with my live stream guest. On OBS, my live stream audience can hear all the music, etc., but my guest just hears my mic. A very quick note here, I had to make a quick adjustment in the Windows control panel for each of the recording devices of the Revelator. I opened up the properties, went to the enhancements tab and ticked to disable all enhancements. For some reason this was interfering with the mic appearing properly in OBS, but this seemed to solve the issue. I've only had time to really briefly look at just how powerful this loopback and mixing feature is. PreSonus have a few more tutorials on using this for podcasting and gaming as well as live streaming and recording. It's absolutely insane how powerful this feature is once you get the hang of it. So who is this mic for? Well, it's perfect for podcasters, gamers, and definitely live streamers. I'd also say that if you're really new to recording and have ambitions to set up a home recording studio, you could do a lot worse than start off with this mic. It's such incredible value with the software bundle that comes with it. Plus, I think it makes a really good learning tool. You can use this mic to learn about EQ, compressors and limiters, etc., and also microphone techniques. The manual is very good, and if you spend some time learning all the different aspects of the Fat Channel, it'll give you a good basis on which to expand your studio in future. I was trying to think of something negative to say. The only thing I could really think of was the way it attaches to the desktop stand is a little bit unconventional, and you might consider the kind of mic stand you used with it, as it doesn't have any kind of adjustable holder. Having said that, I suspect most people would either use the stand it came with or attach it to a studio arm, which is very easy to do. All in all, I think PreSonus have taken the concept of the USB mic here and endowed it with a heap of extra benefits and powers. Some of them you'll also find on other USB mics, but the combination of switchable polar patterns, built-in DSP, the bundled software, the mobile capability, and the loopback and mixing mean this is an absolute winner. Well, I hope you found this review helpful. If you have any comments or questions, do post them below. I'll do my best to answer them. Check out the description for links to the mic and to my webpage where you can directly compare the Revelator with all the other USB mics I've tested. Finally, there is also a link to SoundCloud where I have uploaded some high-res recordings made with the microphone. I've done my best to keep this review as short as possible while still covering all the main points. If you think I should make a follow-up spending a bit more time on any aspects of this mic, then let me know below. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like. That really helps me out. Do subscribe to the channel if you want to get more of my home recording studio tips, tutorials and reviews. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.